Humankind cannot gain anything without first giving something in return. To obtain something of equal value must be lost. That is alchemy's first law of equivalent exchange.
I see it, and now it's all within my reach. I see it now, it's always been inside of me. Now I feel so free, and there's possibility. And there's possibility.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to a brand new video. And today we're going to be talking about something different on the show. We're going to be talking about an anime called Fullmetal Alchemist 2003. Now you're probably wondering, why is it titled 2003? Well, you see, there are two different adaptations of the Fullmetal Alchemist manga that were in animation, besides two movies. Those two adaptations were FMA 2003, which we are covering today, and FMA Brotherhood. And you're probably wondering, why am I talking about these two shows individually? Well, that's because, while they are based off the manga with the same name, 2003 differs from the manga, which we'll get into in a minute. While Brotherhood is pretty accurate to the manga, to a T. So, yeah, we'll talk about Brotherhood another time, but for right now, let's talk about 2003. 2003, like I said earlier, is based off the manga with the same name, Fullmetal Alchemist, where it follows the adventures of two brothers named Ed and Alphonse Elric, who, after a tragic event in their childhood, they try to refix it. Now you're probably wondering, what was that tragic event? Well, you see, Ed and Al grew in the town of Risenbull with their mother after their father, von Hohenheim, decided to be that type of dad who was all like, you know, honey, I'm gonna go to the store real quick and get some milk, but never came back, and because of that, Ed has some personal grudge with his father. And during that time, their mother sadly passed away due to an illness they could not cure. And in a last-ditch effort to bring back their only parent, because their father hasn't came home yet, they decide to perform the taboo of alchemy known as human transmutation, which goes horribly wrong, where Ed loses loses a leg, and Alphonse loses his entire body. In a last-ditch effort, Edward sacrifices his arm and attaches Alphonse's soul to a suit of armor. And because of that, they want to go and fix their mistakes. And they meet a lot of characters along their way and run into some trouble trying to get their bodies back. Now, I want to say this right now. Now, you're probably wondering, how does anime differ from the manga? Well, you see, the original manga the manga was being published and written as the anime was being, made. And because of that, when they got up to for the first half of Brotherhood, they were doing a pretty good job adapting the manga to a T. But trouble started to arise when they got to the Greed versus Edward fight. And because of that, they were basically caught up with the manga at that point. So the people at Studio Bones decided that they had either two options. Well, three actually. Either A, hold production until Arakawa, the writer of the manga, wrote more stuff they could adapt, but at the same time probably lose viewerships because it could take a while to write more stuff for a manga and anime. And also, there's a second option: 2, create filler arcs like Yu-Gi-Oh did, like Waking the Dragons, Cyberspace, and the Kaiba Grand Prix arc. Or 3, ask Furukawa for permission to make their own original ending, which Arakawa gave her blessing to. And yeah, so this has an anime exclusive ending, while Brotherhood has the actual ending to the manga. But I would still recommend watch this anime first, because it is still pretty good in my opinion. Now, let's talk about some of the things I love in this anime. First off, the animation. Sure, yes, it doesn't have that polished animation that we usually have nowadays, with stuff like My Hero Academia, Dragon Ball Z, whatever anime they're on. Like, seriously, there's a lot of Dragon Ball animes, One Piece and all that stuff, but the animation still looks great even today, especially in the lighting of certain scenes. They can really do a good job of making a scene feel intense by the lighting, and it's just masterful in my opinion. And also, the voice acting is superb. All the English dub voice actors are amazing and suit their characters to a T, and they are really good at doing stuff like comedy, like for example this.
Look, can you believe how big Alicia's gotten? She can even ride a tricycle now. She follows me everywhere on that thing like my own escort of cuteness.
Yep, you're the same as ever, Major. Nice and insane.
I've got more pictures. Want to see?
Maybe later, okay?
And also, the music is great, and especially themes during fight scenes, and of course, my personal favorite track being Dante's theme. I don't know why, but I just really like Dante's theme. And also, back to what I said earlier, the voice actors are all able to do a variety of emotions, especially in both serious and comedic scenes. In fact, let me show you how well they can do a serious scene. But fair warning, we're about to get into spoiler territory, so if you have not seen FMA 2003, click off the video now and go watch it. It's on Netflix. You can watch it in sub or dub on Netflix, and trust me, it's worth it. So yeah, here's the clip of how well they're able to do serious scenes in FMA 2003.
I know everything. I know the two of you were lovers because I read the letter. I know you've been keeping yourselves alive, jumping from one body to another. But what I don't understand is if you and that evil bitch were so perfect together, why did you feel the need to marry my mother? Did you get some sick satisfaction out of pretending to be a normal human?
I loved your mother. With all of my being, I had never loved until her. You have to believe that.
With that being said, I think we should go into some spoiler territory, so let's talk about the characters. Almost every character in the show is fantastic. They're well written, well developed, and you sympathize with them. In fact, you even sympathize with some of the villains in this show. That is well done in my opinion. Let's start off with the two main characters, Ed and Alphonse Elric. One thing I love about these two is that usually in anime, the main character is all like, oh, I want to be the strongest in the world. I want to be the very best like no one ever was. Like, say, Goku, Naruto wanting to be the greatest Hokage, and other anime. But with Ed and Al, they just want to do one thing. Regain their bodies back. They feel like, hey, this is our mistake and we have to own up to it. It feels personal, and the dynamics between them is just so well done. They feel like actual brothers. They react, argue, and laugh like actual brothers, and I felt so bad for them, and I really wanted them to succeed. And well, I'm going to spoil the ending, but still, the ending of the show is really well done, especially with the two main brothers, and you really feel like they grow over the course of the season of the show. Especially Edward. I mean, that guy was a tiny little pipsqueak, right? Right?
You mean that little shorty there?
Shorty! Gonna Shorty do this? What else you wanna call me? A half-pint bean sprout midget? I'm still growing, you backwater desert idiot!
But in all seriousness, you still root for these two characters to get their bodies back, and even when they screw up, you feel so bad for them, especially at the start of the series. Ed and Al meet Shao Tucker, who trains them and lets them use his library for their state alchemy exam, and after Ed becomes a state alchemist, he finds out what Shao did. Shao is the life-sewing alchemist, where he's able to make a chimera talk. And his wife left before he made a talking chimera. And he's pressed to make another one, or else he'll have his alchemy certification taken away, and he'll basically be forced to live back on the streets. So he decides that he's going to have his own daughter, Nina, and his dog, Alexander, be his next guinea pig. And it is horrifying when Ed and Al find out that this cute girl that they have been friends with for a while has now became a dog. But this is a question I have. If Nina's a girl and the dog is Alexander, what's the dog's gender? That is something I want to be answered to. Seriously, send this to Arakawa, the creator of the manga, and ask her, what is the dog's gender? I want to know. Before they unfortunately meet their end by Scar, who kills Nina and Shao Tucker. And it devastates Edward, even so much he leaves being an alchemist. Takes away the state alchemist thing. And yeah. And also, Ed and Winry are adorable, and they are much better in Brotherhood, but still. And I also really love other characters like Roy Mustang and Riza Hawkeye, Maze Hughes, who is one of my favorite anime characters until he unfortunately got killed by Envy. Oh, don't worry, Envy, you're gonna have it soon. And you really feel bad for what happens to Maze Hughes, because Maze Hughes is sort of the comic relief character of the show, and he's actually really funny. He's just that type of dad who really cares for his family and wants to see them, be better. Wants them to have fun and be happy. It's really the opposite with Shao Tucker's family, where Maze cares about his family, while Shao only sees them as guinea pigs for his experiments, and it makes May's death even more tragic. And you also feel bad for Roy when he finds out his best friend has been murdered by one of the homunculi. And even though they do change who was the person who killed Winry's parents, I still think they did a great job with what they did, where Roy feels so bad he even tries to, well, I can't say it because we're on YouTube and YouTube would demonetize me. Well, let's just say Roy wanted to go to sleep forever, if you know what I'm saying. Just saying, make sure YouTube doesn't copy and doesn't take me down. And yeah, you really feel bad for Roy, and he wants to become Führer, so that way he can avenge his fallen friends who died in the Ishvalan War and make up for the military's past sins. That is something I love about Roy. He senses justice, even at first he starts off a bit selfish. And then there are the 7 homunculi, who, they are a bit different in this adaptation, where in the manga and Brotherhood, they were created from a Philosopher's Stone, but here, they are basically made by a failed human transmutation thing, and I love that idea, especially since it gives characters like Izumi, Scar, and Ed Alphonse more stuff to deal with, and all 7 of them are named after the 7 deadly sins of man: wrath, sloth, gluttony, lust, envy, pride, and greed. Those are the 7 deadly sins of humanity, and that's what the homunculi are named after. And a lot of them are really cool in my opinion, especially what they did with Sloth. Now, Sloth and Wrath are a bit different from the manga, where in the manga it's Fuhrer King Bradley who's Wrath, and Pride is someone we'll get to in Brotherhood, but still. But in this, in 2003, Wrath is a kid who was Azumi's original son before Azumi's child died, and she tried to bring it back with human transmutation. It's a lot of stuff to unpack, okay? It's a lot of stuff. And Sloth is the failed human transmutation of Ed and Al's mom. And since she looks exactly like their mom, it puts a lot more guilt on the Elric brothers, and it does work a lot better in my opinion. Sorry about that, but still, what I was trying to say was, it does put more of a guilt on Ed and Al, how have they to now deal with their past failures, and learn to overcome them, which does help their arc in my opinion. And also when it comes to the other homunculi, I also love what they did with Lust, how Lust is getting flashbacks of her previous life as an Ishvalan before she was also stricken down with a disease, and was basically Scar's older brother's girlfriend, and because of that, Scar's older brother wanted to use alchemy to save her, going against his teachings, since the Ishvalans believe on a god who is the creator of all things, and they don't believe in science or magic. They only believe in a god. And I also love the main villain of this show, Dante. I especially love how she tells Edward human equivalent exchange is just a bunch of nonsense. If, like, for example, I love how she brings up stuff like, hey, even though you passed the state alchemy exam, what about the other people who failed? Did they gain anything from working so hard, even working harder than you maybe? And I also love how Fear King Bradley is a homunculus, since, it makes sense for why, the government is so mean and is so bad in this show, and it feels really satisfying when Roy destroys him in the last episode of the series. And I also love the plot twist, how it's revealed that in the Portal of Truth, it leads to a gateway into our world during, well, I believe after, I think before World War I, but still in like the 19th century, but still. That's mostly what I can say about FMA 2003. It is it's not fantastic, it's not amazing, it's not as good as Brotherhood, but I do feel like it does do some things better than Brotherhood. And that being said, guys, I'm giving this show a 8 out of 10 or a 9 out of 10. So, yeah. Join me next time as we take a look at the sequel movie known as FMA Conqueror of Shambhala. See you all later, and have a good day. Bye.